It's Masters Tour Bucharest, and we have got one more match to bring you this round, and it's a good one. It is the two undefeated players, Orange and Kin. And there's a lot we can say about both of these players, right, Derek?
Yeah, there is. It's been the running storyline today, obviously, with Orange unfortunately being relegated out of Hearthstone Grandmasters just very, very recently. But his redemption story could be in full force right now, as he is one of the, as you said, only two undefeated players that we have left here in Masters Tour Bucharest. And while we talked about him a whole lot, Kin, I don't think we've seen him at all on stream so far. If so, very, very little. And he's a player that we haven't heard of much for a while. But we had the pleasure of casting him, I believe, in Global Games.
That's right.
For a while, and he is one of the very few Hearthstone actual Olympic medalists.
I believe the only, actually, unless I'm mistaken, the only gold medalist, anyway.
As I said, very few. One is a small number.
Well, there you go. These two players undefeated for a reason. We're just going to run through their deck lists real quick here. So Orange has the Combo Priest, he's got the Rogue, and he's got the Highlander Secret Paladin. We saw Orange playing a little bit earlier. Oh, we're going to jump straight into game number one right now. So yeah, this is the Priest versus Kin's Priest, which is obviously a little bit different. He's got the N'Zoth variant of the deck, he's got Quest Shadowwalk Shaman, and he's got Highlander Hunter. So yeah, very different across the board, actually.
Interesting start here for Orange by playing out the the injured Tolvir and not going for the Circle of Healing. He's pretty much accepting that it just dies to Penance, but you are of course very vulnerable to Shadowword Pain or Forbidden Words if you go for the Circle of Healing. And given that he has the Psychopomp to resurrect it back anyway, I think it's probably worth holding onto the Circle, as we saw there.
The end begins.
This is a pretty interesting matchup, though, getting into it, that is very unexplored, I think, given how recent the Resurrect Priest is in terms of its inception as an archetype in general. And a lot of the players have been very dismissive of the way that players have played the Combo Priest side of this matchup, where they've just been throwing away their cards like Northshire Cleric right at the start of the game, when apparently, the little tip I've been told, I may be giving away practice group secrets here, but Cleric on one might not be the play.
Really?
Spoilers.
Oh, well, there you go.
For the first time in Hearthstone history.
I'm a big fan, personally, in the Resurrect Priest deck, or at least Kin's version of the Hakar the Soul Flare that's chilling out. We've seen that a little bit over the course of this tournament. Obviously, when followed up by an Elysiana, it's very powerful indeed. But as I'm saying that, a 16/16 is appearing on the board and thwacking Kin in the face. He has 11 health now. Uh-oh.
Yeah, this is exactly what you're trying to do. When Orange has nothing going on in his hand whatsoever, you go all in, and you just pray that they don't have it. Kin could have gone for Coin Light Bomb to clear that little bit of extra damage off the board, but I think he very correctly realizes it doesn't matter how low on health you are as long as you're surviving.
So 3 with a Circle of Healing, that's 5, 6, 7 with the Powered Shield, that's 10 damage.
Very close to lethal.
11, 12 with the heal. That's going to do it!
Game.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. The Orange special, just out of nowhere, he's able to take the game. And I think it was pretty right on. The only real decision points came in the game, of course, with the Circle of Healing that could have come down on turn 2. I think it was correct to not do so, because it could have set up for a turn 3 Divine Spirit in a fire. But I think given the weakness it had, as I mentioned, to Shadowword Pain and the Forbidden Words, he made the right decision and came away with a very swift win there.
Orange is a man who knows how to play Priest. He's played a lot of Priest in his time. Combo Priest, just the latest variant that he's just very, very proficient with, and that is his Priest over and done with. Again, leaving him with Rogue and the Secret Highlander Paladin, which, again, we've seen a little bit of recently. What's your thoughts on that deck, Derek?
The Highlander Paladin. I'm liking it more the more I see it. I think it's just one of the strongest curve decks we have at the moment. Like, it's not a tier 1 deck, I think. We can clearly say when the tier 1 is so high at the moment with the token Shaman and the Combo Priest that we have knocking around, and even arguably some of the decks like Resurrect Priest, you could argue is strong enough to be up in that tier. If it's in the right metagame, Druid decks can be very, very powerful as well. Quest Shaman as well. But I think it's a very, very strong 4th deck that you have to bring. Orange in this match, what did he ban away?
Orange banned away Kin's Warrior.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Because Orange has a relatively aggressive lineup. So I think his ban strategy, from what I can tell, is likely to be Warrior number 1, and then probably Shaman number 2.
It was just a typical Armadillo control-y warrior.
I think probably an underrated deck at the moment. I feel like the N'Zoth variant maybe is a little bit too inoffensive until later points in the game. It just doesn't get rolling for quite a long time.
I'm pretty sure I've only cast 2 warrior games in this entire event so far. Like, it's been banned away a lot.
A lot of players are going for kind of generically mid-range aggressive strategies because that's what most of the best decks involve.
So Orange seems to have a little bit more going on at the start of this game. He's got a lot of the early Lackey generation, the Evil Cable Rats, the Swashbucklers, the Activated the Vendetta. However, with that draw from Kin has Sludge Slurper, Evil Totem, Mutate. The tools are starting to come together. In fact, he's halfway through completing that quest as well.
And so therefore, I think for Orange, it's about how does he best transition, as is always Rogue's job, from getting early board control, because Rogue, honestly, 9 times out of 10 will have won the board by turn 3. It's just how you transition that into winning the game, because eventually, Orange is going to start running out of value. He might be able to find a Spirit of the Shark, which he has in his deck, but without that, I think it's fair to say that Quest Shaman generally generates much, much higher amounts of value, and therefore Orange needs to get cooking with the Waggle Pick, and maybe even this Alec here he picked up as well.
Well, I mean, with the tools that he's got, it looks like that damage could come thick and fast. Kin on 28 health now, but watch this space. On the other side of the board, though, the Scheme, Zap. Those are all
good options, I think.
The worst picks, aren't they?
It's really just about what picks he is able to pick up off the top, because obviously if he could peek at that top card and see it was a Thunderhead, you snap the Zap. If he's thinking, if he's able to find a... oh no, sorry, he's playing the quest version, sorry, not the token version. Melting my brain with grinding too much token shaman on ladder. And because of that, it makes sense to me. The Zap is a little bit too low value, I think, and therefore Soul of the Murlocs makes sense.
5 out of 6, though. Kin very soon going to be able to do some, well, big plays with the Life Drinker, with the double hero power, even with the Ethereal Lackey to get some more spells.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Orange, though, again, needs to start dealing some damage. Also wants to get rid of that Evil Totem and really these pesky minions on the board.
I'm not really sure what the best way for him to do that is, because Waggle Pick, I think, is probably a little bit premature. I think he wants to spend his mana on more board-focused things right now. Clearly, though, he disagrees. Maybe he wants to get a strong bounce on the next turn.
Well, next turn now he could go Coin, Miscreant, bounce it, play it again, play some Lackeys, I guess. Whilst also, you know, pushing that damage into the face.
And at the same time, who am I to disagree with Orange? And consistently here, I am underestimating the amount of damage that Rogue can push forward, which is something that Orange clearly is not underestimating.
What Kin is going to struggle with this turn is that while he can complete the quest easily, he can't complete the quest, then hero power, and then really make any use out of it whatsoever. So he's trying to work out which of these Battlecry minions he just wants to throw onto the board, get its effect once, and then be done with. From next turn onwards, Kin is going to have some pretty strong plays. Starts with the Ethereal Lackey. Voltaic Burst is looking interesting here. Just go ahead and deal with these minions.
Sure, you can get a Soul of the Murloc on this board as well, which is probably the best you're going to get.
That's really nice.
Yeah. I like as well for Kin not going for the Life Drinker. I think given that he's just in a Waggle Pick swing phase, Hero Power Life Drinker should be a pretty high priority for him just to try and stay alive. And this is smart. This is the exact kind of board that Rogue struggles against. If they have a 4-1 Waggle Pick in hand, are they going to swing that into just a 1-1?
But Orange is going to have a lot of Lackeys available to him this turn by the looks of things, as the play that I predicted last turn does seem to come to pass. Coin, Miscreant, swing in that Waggle Pick, get some more Lackeys, and then, I mean, he's got the option to Shadow Step a Lackey or Shadow Step the Miscreant, whatever he needs, honestly.
Really like the swing phase here, though, instead of a 1-1. I think he should be able to mop up enough. They still leave Kin scared of the damage through to face, and this kind of plays back to the value of going face that you get. If you can make your opponent play weirdly and go Hero Power Life Drinker instead of Hero Power Draw, you have effectively created resources by going face.
Orange can go very wide here if he wants to as well, with 2 faceless lackeys available. Although Goblin Lackey now to deal with one of those 1/1s is definitely worth considering. Mana Addict too, wow.
Yeah, I like just clearing one of these out of the way nice and easy.
This threatens a lot of damage next turn.
Oh my goodness, this is value sitting for Orange.
Yeah, I mean, this entire game, honestly, Orange has just had more value than he's got the mana to spend, honestly. Plague of Murlocs? No, not looking good at all here.
I think Plague of Murlocs could actually be pretty good in the next few turns, mainly as like an offensive Plague of Murlocs rather than a reactive
Pseudo-evolve.
Yeah, exactly. Just making a bunch of Murlocs out of 1/1 hairs is pretty good a lot of the time. Oof. And while a bunch of 1/1s Rogue finds annoying, a whole bunch of Murlocs on your board, Rogue really just cannot deal with. So I think this is good proactive setup for Kin.
No, none of those cards say Fan of Knives.
Worth pointing out again at this point that both of these players are pretty much fighting for a spot in Grandmasters for Asia Pacific for Kin and back into Grandmasters for European region for Orange. It's pretty much just a win and in now for these players. And with only 9 rounds in the Swiss, whoever wins this series will be guaranteed through to the top 8 tomorrow.
Yeah. So much rush available to Orange here. Big Edwin has to be worth taking.
Yep, into the Jacklick.
Yep, can deal with that. Then trade the 1/1s into some hairs. But now with the Big Edwin on the board, that Plague of Murlocs, yeah, it is looking good. Depending on what sticks around.
Yeah. I think maybe at this point it's probably worth holding on to, weirdly enough, just because you give your opponent so many Murlocs as well.
True.
But you know, you're spending 3 mana for a thing that's like even on board. It's not even particularly good. Evolve looks a lot better though.
Evolve does look good. You can trade the 2 Murlocs in and then evolve the hairs.
We could instead see Bog Slosher on this turn on one of the hairs, and then next turn Hero Power Hair evolve.
Yep, for essentially a full board of 4 drops.
Yeah. I think that's probably a little bit better because you want to trade these ones away, actually.
Interesting. You need to get rid of the Edwin at the end of the day. That's like priority #1, as Orange could very quickly get the rest of the damage in. So it gets rid of the Edwin, just leaves 2 small minions on the board. Orange has a lot of value, but he's still not doing much with it.
I think I did actually just probably prefer the hairline. I get that Kin's going for a higher value line of play here and trying to find Shuttlewalk, for example.
Yeah, that's true.
And again, one of the hairs would be a 5/5, so that's probably a downgrade going up to a 4-drop. But 5 4-drops on the following turn with mana to spare. Seems like a strong play. And now, if Kin is too slow for too long in terms of his value, eventually he's just going to get beaten down.
Whew, 1 mana Waggle Pick.
If it's damage Orange wanted, it's damage he's got. Head Crack, Waggle Pick.
Alakir.
Yeah, you could just start launching everything to the dome. Especially as Alakir double Goblin Lackey on turn 10 is 10 damage to the face.
Could even Alakir hitting the Waggle Pick to bounce it, and then the following turn play it again with the double Goblin Lackey. Like, Orange has the means to get there now. It's just a matter of time.
Here we go. Oh, yeah. The slightest of order logs there with Direwolf Alpha that could have come down, but I think we can forgive that one. Huge pickup there, though, for Kin in the Mogu. This is the kind of card he needs to both get value off of the draw with Novice Engineer and quickly swing back tempo at the same time.
I hope you like my invention.
Again, though, if he had gone for the hair and he had the Mogu now, it would be absolutely absurd.
Life Drink has a lot of health, but doesn't really allow Kin to do much to the board.
It does not.
I'm surprised to see this. I was expecting Cable Wrap plus Mogu plus Evolve maybe, you know.
That's what I was looking
at. A turn there.
It downgrades one of your minions, of course, from a 5/5 to a 3-drop, which, unless you're hitting the Mukla, is not what you want to be doing. But yeah, you're right. It's just general Hearthstone principles here, right? In general, you want to clear off minions, then heal. That's how you stabilize the board. But now for Orange, with the minions left on board, his first port of call should be considering, can I set up 2-turn lethal here? How consistently can I set up 2-turn lethal here? Because obviously with Waggle Pig, there's always a little bit of chance coming into the mix.
So many options.
But with Goblin Lackey, Head Crack, you can start pushing forward a fair amount.
Yeah, I mean, Reckless Mummy can very easily clear most of this board on its own. So if you're not worrying too much about the 2-turn lethal, he still has 20 health. Yeah, play the Head Crack, deal that little bit of chip damage, get rid of that board. Now it looks like it's going to be a 2-turn lethal setup.
Manages to play around MCT at the same time and plays around Mogu by trading the 2/1/1s instead of the 2/2. I think that's correct.
Yep.
Holding on to the Waggle Pick, I think probably also correct. Try and bounce a higher value target.
No Goblin Lackey now, so Alakir isn't going to get that attack buff, but it doesn't matter that much. It's still going to be 6 damage for 8 mana, plus the Waggle Pick, plus anything else.
And now this is the turn for Kin. This has to be him swinging things around and wrestling the board back.
Wow. Get him the life chain though, which
It's just stalling again. Okay, just delaying what you could argue is the inevitable at this point.
He's getting the damage in. Orange is down to 14 health now. There's no obvious way in Kin's hand for him to get the job done over the next couple turns, and I guess that's the big issue here. But there's no way for Orange to get the job done right now anyway.
Sure, yeah. You can, of course, trade in the 1/1 Goblin Lackey if you wanted a guaranteed bounce on the Miscreant.
That's true.
But at this point, you're starting to wonder if that's even what he wants necessarily. Might be a little slow.
I wonder.
But having healed all the way back up to 24, Orange does maybe have to consider, you know what? I'm probably just going to have to give up on the damage to face route and just go for a little bit more board control. It's what he ends up on, and without a Leroy in hand, without the single copy of Life Drinker in his deck in hand, it's probably right.
Down comes Alakir. Orange has generated a lot of value this game, so his deck is going to start running out eventually, one would think, anyway. But yeah.
He's still got a lot of good stuff, to be fair. He's got the 2 Spirits of the Shark in there, which would be insane with this hand. Togwaggle itself would be nutso.
As soon as he picked up the Rock Biter weapon, I glanced at Alakir there. I'm just so used to that being the combo. Nope, wrong side of the board. Okay.
Some power turns starting to come down now, though. Kin has to be starting to look at a Mogu turn now, right? He's just avoided it for the last 2 turns now. Surely we're getting close. All right, here we go. I am appeased.
I mean, Mogu plus Rock Biter weapon, make the value trade, then mutate. It is looking very nice.
Is it? Do we not want to evolve on this turn?
Bad ahead.
Like, saving it for hair. Does he even have a hair left in the deck? Is it just one left at this point? Or did he already play both?
I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah. It's been at least one, though.
Another Shadow Step picked up. I mean, we're starting to look at having to play H-Clan Burglars and things to get that last bit of damage. It's not...
Right. And it's really just about stabilizing now, because Kin has turned this around on this turn very, very quickly.
Timeout.
And he has, Hero Power, Kobold Lackey, Weaponized Wasp for 12... Oh, sorry, more than that. 12 damage on the full... 10 damage on the full turn.
Timeout. Head Crack. That's another turn. How long can Orange do this for?
I mean, they're all pretty good. Ferocious Howl in its own right is a very, very strong card. But Orange going with the almost Freeze Major, I suppose.
Yeah, right.
OTK Paladin style of play of ignoring the board completely and trying to set up 2-turn lethal.
I mean, I don't think there's a 2-turn lethal here unless I'm completely missing it. Honestly, the best play I can see here is yeah, play the timeout, play the head crack, maybe bounce the Henge Clan Burglar and find more damage next turn, or start bouncing cable routes or something.
And you may not know he's dead, but we can clearly see the timeout has to come down on this turn for Orange to stay alive.
Yeah.
And he smells a rat.
Yep.
And doesn't go for the rat.
Doesn't bounce it though, so he is going to aim to bounce lackeys or a Leroy.
Yeah, he's
picked up off of the top.
Definitely playing for a Leroy out too. Can be a bit of a slow turn now for Kin, should he so desire.
Mortals are so squishy.
Oh?
Oh, wow.
Okay.
A Doomsayer could very much appear here and just lose him the game, but no, it doesn't happen. Ooh.
Too soon.
But then again, you couldn't wish for anything better than Nostormo in this position.
Yeah, it needs to be a miracle now for Orange to really have a chance. He's playing as fast as he humanly can. You can almost feel how much he's freaking out right here, but he still gives it his best shot. He's thinking Corkron, anything at all, drawing 2 cards. Maybe that'll do it.
Yeah. Wow, that was...
Sorry, I had my leg on my chair.
So let's just wind that one back for a second there. The Evolve itself, I'm not sure how necessary it was, and there was the very real potential downside with 2 lackeys on the board of a Doomsayer popping out and just like auto-winning Orange the game. What actually happened is the Kin got a Nosdormu, which it was just impossible for Orange to play around in that position, which was a nice surprise for Kin, I guess.
Yeah, I think honestly there for Kin, it was probably a little bit too quick. Even if it was the correct line, I feel like he maybe didn't give it the due time that it was worth. Because he could have just kept back 10 burst damage from hand, cleared off the board, still be easily representing lethal. Could have still thrown down the Evolve as well, like, you know, trade in the bat ahead Evolve up to a 9-drop. You don't need a 4-drop from a 3-3. That's not that much of a difference. And therefore, I think probably would have just been slightly better to hold on to your resources there, just in case Orange is able to find the miracle out.
Yeah, but there you go. Game 2 comes to an end. The score is 1-1 after Orange got the very, very quick win. Those of you that have already forgotten, I feel like I blinked and missed it. Orange got a very quick win with the Priest earlier. Orange has had a rough time. Every time we've cast Orange on stream this event, I mean, we cast him versus Chunsu earlier on, where there was almost a sweep, but then almost a reverse sweep. He's had a rough time, but he's come out on top so far. But Kin also undefeated so far in the tournament. We're going to watch the rest of this series after this short break. Our two undefeated players here at Masters Tour Bucharest are face to face, and they're even Stevens. It's 1-1 at the moment, Kin and Orange. Which one of them is going to potentially end the Swiss undefeated and simply qualify to top 8? We're going to find out very soon.
Yeah, both of them looking very, very strong. I was trying to think back a little bit to anything Orange could have done better. We're tight like that, you know. I just hang with the players. It doesn't really mean anything. I'm just cool, I know.
Okay.
Orange, I'm trying to think of anything he could have done slightly better there in that series to win. But honestly, I'm thinking with the way it worked out, he had some of the damage tools, but not enough. Like, he had the waggle picks, didn't find the Leroy, didn't find the life drink, was just unable to deliver the necessary damage. Although I think he gave it the best shot possible. Maybe if it wasn't double life drinker from Kin, he would have been able to get over the finish line. But I think even for Kin on the other side, if he'd bounced the hair instead, he might have been in an even better spot. But either way, it is all in the past now. It all comes down to these next 2 or 3 matches for these players to find out who is going to be going through 8-0 guaranteed for top 8.
Orange once more going to play the rogue deck. He didn't quite get over the finish line with last game, despite picking up a lot of value early on. It gets to the point against the Quest Shaman where their turns are just so powerful that you can't survive against it.
Yeah.
But now Kin we see on the Highlander Hunter. Again, a deck we've not seen too much in this tournament, but clearly it's doing very well.
It is a fine start for Orange here. It's not great, but honestly, even though it's a 6-drop, High Sparrow and Togwaggler is, I think, one of the better cards he could find here, just because it gives him a plan to move towards now. He is thinking, right, turn 6, Togwaggle, or turn 7 probably with the Lackey. That's what he's moving towards, and he's just got to survive until then. And honestly, this deck from Kin, it's not that difficult to survive against, unless they're curving out very aggressively with Secrets, Hyena Alpha, Subject 9. Generally, you can stabilize very easily with the tricksy removal tools that Rogue has.
Orange, though, Togwaggle in hand, ready to go. Yeah, I mean, this is looking like the sort of game where Togwaggle is going to be quite valuable because, as you said, Kin is not going to be getting that 30 damage dealt too quickly, and his hand doesn't exactly help him out much either. Unleash the Hounds could be good in a world where Orange went really, really wide with lackeys.
It's been known to happen.
It's kind of unlikely.
There's just something missing for Orange here. You don't quite know what it is, but there's something missing, like any kind of card that gets a hunter card into hand so that he can go for the exactly, or Hench Clan Burglar, anything like that would be fantastic here. But until then, it's just about bridging the gap, as we were saying. So what does he hold on to? What is he looking for? Does he want to tempo out or just hold things back? And I think, honestly, you know, Orange is realizing playing out a Cable right here, it's probably not good. What does Kin likely do on the next turn? 50% of the time, minimum, they're playing Snip Snap because they draw it off the Ursatron, which is a fine play, against which a 1-1 Cable Rat sucks. It just doesn't do anything and gets value traded. So I like holding it here rather than just tempoing it out onto the board. I think I'm liking an upgrade to a 3-drop here.
Yeah. Again, Orange could go wide here. I wonder if the Unleash the Hounds is a consideration. It looks like he is leaning towards that play. Okay. Ooh, Serpent Egg.
The thing, I suppose, being that there is obviously a decent chance that a 3-drop is not good enough to trade against the Snip Snap here.
Yeah, that's true.
I just thought getting a bit more proactive so you don't have to react to the board every turn. You can just start value trading your opponent. Might be a little bit stronger.
Kin going to start to clean this board up, though.
It's looking like it may be possible if Orange wanted to actually try and stick a Lackey on the board this turn, which is a risky play, make no mistake.
So you mean sticking it behind a Titanic Lackey, giving maybe the Egg Taunt?
That's what I'm looking at, yeah. It could just be triple Lackey plus hero power on this turn, which definitely raises some alarm bells going into turn 6 for Kin, of course. But it is, I think, the kind of turns that that Orange needs to be making, because he, outside of that, just has very, very weak turns on turn 6.
So many options.
what he goes for. Goes for the waggle pick.
Yeah, middle of the road kind of play here where he's getting some lackeys on the board. Still has a chance to go for Togwaggle next turn, but not all in. I think this is a good line of play.
Yeah, I like it. Just leaving that annoying snip snap with its irritating death rattle alive, bypassing it, going to the face. And now, let's take a look at Kin's side of the board. He's not going to use a deadly shot here, so...
Yeah, just develop stuff on the
Leok.
board. It always sucks developing into a taunted egg of any kind.
Well, now Kin can actually clear everything if he so chooses. He'll get the 1/1 from the weapon, and he can play 2 1/1s with Rush from his hand.
Yeah.
He can, but he's not going to. He's going to play Snipe instead.
Wait, could he have cleared everything?
Yeah, with the links and the
Oh, trade.
trade
Oh,
the
yeah,
2
yeah.
on there and then links. Oh, sorry, everything except for the 3/4.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So
I was
to-
imagining
to be
everything
clear,
except the 1/1s.
I was tunneling on the lackeys
Okay.
there because of Togwaggle, which has to be a
Right.
consideration going into turn 6
Big time.
against this deck. But yeah, it wasn't cleared, so I imagine it's going to be a pretty straightforward play from Orange now.
It's not the worst idea either for Kin to just leave the 0/1 as a 0/1 rather than going for popping it there as well, because it does mean that there's a chance at least that the weapon can swing in and bounce back the egg instead. John's Gambit working off here.
All right, let's see. We got the the Gambit. We got the Kobold. What are we? No, just the
It's always one tier.
yeah.
I think like when we saw Alan yesterday go for the Goblet and the Kobold, that was an incredibly specific scenario. And even then, I think you could make the argument that it wasn't correct and it was still just right to go for 1+1 or Zarog's Crown. It was definitely the coolest one I've ever seen.
Yeah. And the Waggle pick successfully returns Togwaggle to the hand. Maybe that's not what you want there.
Yeah,
don't know,
I was
6/6
wondering,
body.
is this the kind of matchup where you actually want that to happen? It's still kind of an aggro deck, really, this Hunter.
But honestly, the tempo that he can get by playing the Togwaggle,
It's true.
playing a second wand,
It's true.
getting 3 more cards that cost 0.
Got something to hide.
He's going to have to be careful, though, here. It's very, very easy to fall into the trap, to be allured by the Heist Baron Togwaggle into just playing way too much for value and ignoring your health total completely. I don't think that Orange will do that. I think he's good enough to analyze what his situation here.
Absolutely, yeah.
But it's something to consider.
Oh my goodness! This into the wand?
Does that add 0 mana copies to your hand? I don't think I've ever even seen that before.
I would expect not, but maybe. Looks like it's going to be evolved anyway. Orange, that's really boring. Oh, wait, no.
Yeah, well, he needs to clear a card from his hand first anyway, right?
Ready to make some money.
Okay, all right. Keep talking to me. Yes, all right. Well, we're going to find out now, Derek, one way or the other.
Science. No, just that's normal versions.
That's what I thought.
It's still pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
It's still
an
pretty
extra
blooming good.
Spirit of the Shark? Yeah, okay.
Yes, sign me the heck up. Oh, even able to get the rushing underbelly as well. Whoa. This is filthy. And he can go for a Spirit of the Shark Togwaggle here. If Orange is able to just not die for the next few turns, he will be reaching godhood level of power plays.
He's on 23 health, Derek. And there's 3 1/1s on the board. That's it.
Have you ever seen the curve of Dino Tabor, Bran, Ragnaros into Call of the Wild into Zul'jin?
Reasonable. Reasonable argument. Unleash the Hounds also. Very powerful.
Yeah. Tough spot here where Kim could start making the decision where he honestly just starts launching everything face and try and hope for maybe a surprise Rag or Dino Tamer Bran off the top for lethal. But this is probably a little bit more responsible where he clears off what he has to and then ships the rest face.
You know what's awkward?
What is awkward?
There's no lackey in the hand.
Or did he play them all?
Nor is there any way of generating a lackey in the hand.
Yeah, maybe that was an oversight from Orange. It was either play a lackey or burn a bunch of value because you have the...
What's less awkward is the
extra
Edwin
generation.
Is the Edwin that's there. So you've got 0 mana Spirit of the Shark,
Yes.
Fence,
Go on.
Fence, Vendetta, Pharaoh Cat, Edwin.
Whew. That is a vendetta for Papa, if I've ever seen one.
Okay.
Yep, I like everything I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, keep going, keep going. All right, Vendetta.
This all seems
Fence.
busted. Yes, correct.
That had better be one good deadly shot, I'm telling you that much.
Yeah. And even if he could clear up the rest, there's always still just the shark for the minimum chance, 50-50. And it'll probably be way better than that by the end.
Choose soon.
Okay, all right, that is going to be...
How big is this going to be? Give me numbers.
Get to guess, but 16-16. Did you work it out?
No, I'm going like 24-24.
Yeah, I think you're probably closer than I am. Oh!
Oh, because the shark died because of the thing. Right, yeah. We were both confused a bit.
So it would have been 24-24. You were right.
Well, not quite, because it's +10, not +12.
Oh,
plus
shoot.
12. But yes,
You were close enough.
I was very close.
Either way, doesn't matter. Orange wins the game. Wow, that was that was powerful.
Yeah, nice easy one there for the Rogue. And I think it was very well played there by Orange. There was a bit in the middle where he had to be very careful, as I said, about playing too much for the value there, as opposed for tempo and protecting his health total.
He didn't even end up replaying the Togwaggle.
Yeah, he just didn't need to. Just didn't need to. And that's what we were saying. He probably didn't want to bounce back the Togwaggle. He'd rather have a 5-5 in play and bounce back a 1-1 instead back to his hand. But it does still just mean that he is able to bring this up 2 games to 1. And it's a big win for his Rogue, because Rogue versus Hunter has been a pretty contentious matchup throughout all of Hearthstone, whatever form the decks have been in, because Rogue tends to be a little bit better at seizing early game tempo. Hunter tends to be a little bit better about closing or doing more damage in the late stages of the game.
Well, as you can see on the screen, the score is 2-1 with Orange in the lead. The only deck that he has remaining is the Paladin, the Secret Highlander Paladin, which we did see him struggle with a little bit earlier against Chansu. It was the deck that he almost got reverse swept, unable to get the win with, but then eventually did get the win.
Yep.
So it'll be very exciting to see how it fares up against Kin's remaining decks, which is of course still the Hunter, and also Kin's Priest, the Nazoth, Hakar, much slower Priest.
Yeah, I think it's going to definitely want to try and get the win against the Hunter. That feels like a much more manageable matchup, because the Resurrect Priest just feels like a very strong anti-aggro deck at the moment, with all the removal cards it has early on. And then, of course, once you start getting down the Kartut defenders, resurrecting them again, getting down whatever late-game powerhouse plays you can make, it feels difficult for the Paladin to keep up.
But here we go. The vital match for Orange then starts now, as he does go up against the Hunter first. And it's got to be said, both of these players have very nice opening hands here. Secret Keeper on both sides. That's always very interesting. And given Orange doesn't have a secret in his hand, maybe he goes for it so that any secret Kin was planning on playing also buffs his minion.
Exactly.
Oh, it's really confusing.
Yeah, it gets very weird. But then you also have to consider the potential of magnetization very, very carefully, because Glowtron, for example, just played without the coin here as a single 1-1. Sorry, as a 1-3, could then be led up from with coin snip snap on the following turn. I think Orange is maybe taking that a step further and saying, okay, well, I have a 1-1 here. He can trade into that very easily. Still have coin snip snap. There's pretty much always a 1-1 left available here, unless there's Spring Core, in which case he clears it off anyway, even if I go for the Glowtron. And this allows for another magnetizable mech in the Glowtron to go on top of this one anyway.
That's really nice. Although he doesn't know which secret it is. Like, if it was... I guess it wouldn't be a freezing trap, though. Like, you wouldn't play freezing trap when there's a 1-1 on the board.
It might be the only one, but yes, if you had any other option, you would consider playing around it. I think the reason he didn't go coin snip snap there was because he didn't know if it was pressure plate or not, and so therefore if he goes coin snip snap and the 1-1 dies, that's nightmare scenario.
Yeah.
So this feels probably the best sequence for Orange.
Yep, Orange ends up ahead briefly, but Kin with the weapon and then with the rush minion is going to clean that up. It does still leave Orange the ability to be ahead on the board, though. He can just go ahead and develop the snip snap. Though Subject 9, now having been drawn for Kin, means come turn 5, things are going to get out of hand.
I wonder if you just go for Sunreaver Spy here instead.
Maybe.
You can go Sunreaver Spy on 3, Spellbreak on 4, and then coin double snip snap on 6. I feel like I might be closer than he's making out.
I don't know, like, snip snap is so difficult to deal with. I think you just plonk it on the board and say, yep, you've got your weapon, you've got your 1-on rush minion. You still can't deal with everything, including the death rattles. It's not going to happen. And Leok does help a lot, actually. Does turn that into a 2-1.
Yeah, I feel like the benefit of sticking it, though, even though it is undeniably a stickier minion, is not that high. Because you're not really benefiting off of it, other than just having board control a bit more securely. And so I wonder if waiting for a mech and then hoping to go for double magnetization on it in the coming turns was better. But he does, of course, get another hero power in this way by going Sun Reaver hero power. Or the Micro Mummy that you just picked up off the top.
Got something to hide?
Yeah, I think pretty clearly realizing here for Orange that he could start milking the hero powers here, but honestly up against a Desert Spear, and you don't have really much that benefits off of a hero power, unlike the Token Shaman, this is probably the way to go for Orange. But having said that, it's not looking all too great for him, to be perfectly honest.
He doesn't have all that much going on, does he? Whereas with that Ziliax coming down, getting the nice value trade on the Sun Reaver Spy, Orange could do with some help. Consecration will clear up the board, but then what else has he got? Like, yeah, he can put the Avenge down. Great. Then what? He needs to draw something big, beefy immediately. He needs Mysterious Challengers, Tiamat, or Zephyrus, or just something that's going to generate some value. And
also, I'm thinking Consecration shouldn't even be able to clear the board here, because Kin should have just played the Subject 9 on that turn and drawn all the bad cards from his deck. Like, I think this Ziliax there was honestly a bit superfluous.
Sure.
It killed off a 2-3, sure, but you could have played a 5-5 instead and drawn every bad card in your deck.
Still not going to play the Subject 9. Going to go ahead and take advantage of the Hyena Alpha instead. It is a more powerful board, especially as a Consecration has just been used. Tyrion is one turn too soon, even with the coin.
Yeah, I don't think you have a choice here. It's got to be Spellbreaker just to get something in play.
Your magic shall not save.
Silences the 3-3 because...
Yeah, it's the biggest one.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The scariest one. Ha!
Okay, it's a little annoying. You know, it's got to be traded into at the very least. Unless, of course, he can just hit the freezing trap. He's isolated it and goes for the making sure it gets bounced back to hand. I like this. You don't want to sacrifice your board completely. And Dinotamer Brand will always be good. And like I said, I still think that Subject 9 should have come down a few turns ago. But either way, it's still very powerful here.
Ziliax is interesting. Obviously, it can play around the freezing trap by hitting the board, going something, but it's very expensive. Goes back, becomes 7. A 7 cost. And maybe you'd prefer to trade the Ziliax into something. Or, failing that, let's just coin out Tyrion.
Yeah, I think this was a play to try and get around the pressure plate as well as possible. Because if he freezes away his Spellbreaker first, and he's 100% almost knows it's freezing trap there, because every secret is in hand. So he knows that they would just play the best one. So he just played around the pressure plate by attacking first as well.
Oh, things are just going from bad to worse for Orange now, though. Again, as you said, the Priest matchup should be the difficult one for him. For now, he needs to try and find a way back into this game, and really, I can only think of Zephyrus that'll get him there.
Zephyrus is it.
This doesn't seem like it.
Well, he's got trade in here. Ziliax trade in again. He's not dead. He can find Ziliax on one of the coming turns. He can fight Zephyrus on one of the coming turns, sorry. And maybe if that can answer the Dinotamer Brand, we're looking at a game on our hands. Not much of a game, but a game.
A game of Hearthstone.
Yes, a game of Hearthstone. And isn't that what we're all here for?
Well, King Crush is here in Hearthstone, that's for sure. As he's going to go straight to the dome. And Orange pretty much on his last legs here.
King Crush is here to pwn some noobs. Yep, I agree with this. Take care of the biggest minion. You don't need to set up 100% lethal on the next turn when you've pretty much just locked the game.
Nope, 5-5 with Divine Shield and Taunt is not going to cut it as Kin evens up the score of this series. It's 2-2 with Kin's only remaining deck to win with being the Priest up against Orange's Paladin. And you were saying before, that doesn't bode particularly well for Orange.
I think it could do and it could not do. It's really like how well the Paladin functions as a mid-range leaning towards aggressive deck, which I think is usually pretty well. That's what the deck does. It's mainly a mid-range deck that has strong aggressive potential, because obviously after you enter turn 9 specifically and onwards, it gets drastically more difficult to win the game.
Right.
So it's really just for Orange about trying to find the key weaknesses in the priest removal, because priest removal is very, very strong, but it's very, very specific. It's only good in certain scenarios, and although those cover most scenarios in the game, there's certain avenues I think you can go down that allow you to move around the remove. We're of course talking about, for example, 4 attack on your minions can play around Shadow Word Death, Shadow Word Pain.
Yep.
Does play into Forbidden Words at some points, but you've got to give yourself the best shot, really. It's one big minion going into turn 5, so they can't go for Math's Hysteria. High health minions going into the Light Bomb turn, so they can't clear off your board. If you know what you're doing, you can find the weakness in their armor and just really go for a strong strike.
Yeah, I mean, Kin's Priest is also teched in such a way where it looks like it's trying to beat some control decks, especially, again, with that Hakar we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Can't imagine that being all too powerful against the Secret Paladin.
Me neither.
Really, the Priest is going to want the defensive tools again, like the Kartut Defender, which I feel like we've talked about a lot this tournament and over the last few weeks. Kartut Defender is very strong, especially now that N'Zoth is in the meta.
Yeah, it's just gone crazy. And Hakara is a very interesting point that you bring up, because one of the biggest reasons that it has made its way into the metagame is specifically Highlander effects like Zephyrus and, of course, the Finley as well, because after you've shuffle 2 Bloods in your deck, they can never be active again, which maybe will hurt Orange's game plan, but given you don't draw too much, it'll probably be won or lost by turn 10 anyway.
All right, well, the score is 2-2. There is one game remaining this series. Which of our 2 champions of the Swiss so far, Orange and Kin, which one of them is going to end this round still undefeated? We'll find out in just a few moments. With Kin on the Resurrect Priest and Orange on the Secret Highlander Paladin, we have our final game of this series between... You right there?
Yeah. Psyching myself up. Can you not tell?
I thought you were doing some karate.
I am. That's how I psych myself up.
You got out your system?
No, carry on.
Mate.
Sorry, that was a bit violent.
Move over here for a second.
Yeah, fair enough.
We got our final game of this series between our two undefeated players. Derek, do you have a favorite to win this one?
As in a person I would like to win it more, or I think is more likely to win?
Either, both,
okay.
Everything, all of the answers.
More likely to win, I'm going to give it to Kin on this one.
Okay.
I feel like it's probably just slightly favored. I could be wrong, haven't played a whole lot of the Highlander Secret Paladin, but I feel like its aggressive potential early on is maybe just not quite there, given how much removal Kin has in the early games. I mean, just look at what we're working with here. Shadow of Pain, Penance, Shadow of Death thrown away. The other one just picked up straight away because his deck is like, trust me, mate, you're going to want this one. But on the other side for Orange, it is no slouch whatsoever.
Oh, Christology.
The Zealot, Christology, Zephyrus. These are three fantastic starting game cards.
If there was a hand that was going to give Orange the win before getting to that scary point in time where the Priest stabilizes, this is looking like potentially that hand.
It is indeed.
And again, Elysiana picked up, completely useless in this matchup.
It is staggeringly greedy. I am honestly pretty surprised that you find room for Elysiana in this deck with the amount of resurrection and nonsense you have in there.
Oh, Beaming Sidekick is interesting.
Yeah, going up to a 3-3 on this turn is good, but it's still weak to Penance and Pain. England's least popular comedy duo.
Okay, plays the Redemption instead, so I guess this way, Orange can at least turn it into a 4-attack minion next turn.
Yeah.
Though it would still lose to Penance, although Penance is the one that Kin decided to use.
I mean, nicely done, Orange here. He's able to get it up to a 4-attack minion now and get it up out of the range. Well, he's seen the Penance, now it goes up to 4-attack. This is now difficult to deal with. And if he'd just gone with a minion on the previous turn, it would have been removed from the board and wouldn't have come back.
Yep. Kin has nothing to do this turn. Next turn he can coin out Mass Hysteria. He may have to coin out Mass Hysteria next turn.
This was sick ordering. This was really, really smart.
Yep. Do you think he plays Zeph now? I don't know what he's aiming for if he plays Zeph.
It's just if you don't play it, it's so bad. But even if you do, it's still coin Mass Hysteria turn.
It would probably give Wind Fury, right? Wind Fury on the 4-3 isn't bad.
Yeah, maybe. Again, I'm so bad at these Zephyrus.
It's only
options.
4 damage though, and I guess, again, coin Mass Hysteria is an option for Kin next turn.
Like premium 2-drops, we're looking at it might offer the Sorcerer's Apprentice is generally what it offers on 2 mana.
Oh, sorry, if Zephyrus had played and did get the Wind Fury, it would have been 10 damage because it would have gone
yeah,
attack.
exactly. Which is good. Obviously, that's powerful, but probably not quite good enough. But I do like that Orange is holding back here. I think it shows good restraint in that you just greed it in these matchups. It's why you're playing the deck, is to get Zephyrus in there.
Yep. But now curving into Ziliax for the extra 3 damage, into Mysterious Challenger next turn. I mean, this is exactly what Orange would have wanted out of this game. Ziliax on the other side, though, doesn't quite look as good, does it?
It looks pretty good when you factor in the Psychopomp as well.
Okay,
Ziliax with Reborn is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. It is filthy.
Yeah, I have to admit, I hadn't thought about that.
It's not, of course, what Kin has to go for. He has many other options.
So much healing, though.
Yeah. Unless, of course, Orange just wants to let rip with the Zephyrus right now. It would be able to give some answer to the Ziliax on the opposing board. Opposing side of the board. But, of course, there are many, many strong options. And, again, the simple rule that he seems to be adhering to at all costs is if you have a strong play that isn't Zephyrus, you take that play.
Yeah.
You just save it because Zephyrus can always be better. Ooh.
Light Bomb, again, doesn't quite clear everything up. And all of those secrets, I mean, you know there's a Never Surrender in there somewhere.
Yeah. And so instead, are we looking at Mass Hysteria? Again, it has the same problem of proccing the Never Surrender.
It does, but things are still more likely to die. And it looks like that's the way we're going. Ziliak's likely to get some healing in now as well. And it also survives by the looks of things, as Kin did just ready up an attack. This is a strange
to proc all the secrets as well. It's very weird. I always forget that this is how it works.
Oh. Don't know what it was aiming at before, but now it's aiming at the 2-1.
Is that it?
I think that is it. That is it, yeah.
That was not very much stuff.
No, and the Glowtron just got even stronger. Oh no.
How much damage are we looking at here?
Double Snip Snap is the... Oh wait, Zephyrus.
13, 15, and then if you go Zephyrus, it will offer like a way to deal with the Ziliax, and then you're really almost at lethal here for Orange. Really, really close. Is there any lethal play on this turn? If he goes trade in and he goes up to 21, trade in with a 6-7, sorry, up to 21, magnetize on the Snip Snap up to 9, Wind Fury is 2 damage off lethal.
Yeah.
Annoyer module is too expensive to hit Wind Fury on.
Yeah, it's no more damage than the Snip Snap anyway.
Yeah, true. So I guess you can go for the Annoyer module to deny the healing and then push base with the rest.
Okay.
It's still a board that's very, very resistant to that Light Bomb, which is really what you're afraid of right now, because it's still a turn away from Coin Plague of Death.
Job done. Reporting for duty.
So the best thing Kin's got, well, he can either Light Bomb, but again, that leaves the Glowtron alive. It's just not good enough. Or he can Psycho Bomb to get the Ziliax out, which again, in theory, this gets attacks or heals in some way 4 times. He's actually going to initiate the first attack, but now Orange can, yeah, attack 4 more times, and that's 12 more health for Kin, except Zephyrus is here. Zephyrus is going to silence the Celiax one way or another. It's going away. Master Spell, Spellbreaker, take your pick. And that is going to be the game after quite an intense series between our 2 Swiss leaders. Orange does take it away in the end, but is the only player now in the tournament undefeated. And I believe you said we've worked out before, that is guaranteed top 8.
That's right, and it was a big win for Orange. His tiebreakers were looking miserable, despite being undefeated, so therefore he won both his early and late games here. A lot of his opponents who he did beat in the early rounds went on to drop out of the tournament early due to having poor records, continued losing, which of course means that your tiebreaker one gets worse and worse. So for Orange, if he didn't win these that series and potentially the next one as well, he could have been in trouble, but now picking up that 8th win, he's looking like a lock for top 8.
Yep, and that is something that a lot of Orange fans are very, very happy to see. Again, it's sort of the story of this tournament is the question of which players are going to be Grandmasters next season. There's 2 openings in each region, and in many cases, the best players at this event are going to be the players filling those slots. But for Orange, a player that was just relegated a week ago, now potentially has a way back in already.
Yeah, it's looking like the most unbelievable of Hearthstone stories may just be coming true. I don't want to jinx it quite yet, but there are a lot of other very, very strong contenders still hoping to get their chance. I just saw that Hypno tweeted out that he has gone up to 7-1, just needs 1 more victory to be guaranteeing that top 8 of his own, and I would be very happy to see him do that as well.
Well, we are very almost reaching the end of round 8, but I believe we still have 1 more series to bring you. In just a few moments, we're going to be showing you Possessi versus Fury Hunter. So don't go anywhere. More Masters Tour Bucharest coming up.